And welcome back to another episode of Around Comics, the comic book podcast show, YouTube sensation.
Where every week we talk about everything in and around the world of comics and comics culture.
You know what I always miss was I kind of miss how we don't do, two things. We don't do the opening where it's like, you're listening to Around Comics, episode 368. And we don't do the thing where we used to get like people that we'd have on the show going, you're listening to Around Comics.
That was fun. Yeah.
Michael Levon Oming or whoever the hell. Or Mike, it's Mike Deodato Jr., who I found out this week is not Mike Deodato Jr. But you,
What?
Sir, are Christopher Niesman.
I am
Brian Salazar.
I wore the shirt for you today.
Lucero. I met the bassist.
Bass player.
Bass man.
Yeah.
Very nice man who owns a tattoo shop in Memphis.
You got inked up there with your Tom, Chris, and Brian tattoo.
That's right. TCB, baby, right there. On the hand. TCB. Tom, Chris, and Brian.
I was not aware of that Elvis thing. And so you should completely oblivious, like many blind spots culturally. My wife,
I think
and
you
showed it to me. You showed it to me, and I was like, "Does that stand for Tom, Chris, and Brian?" Because that's cool, but really kind of fucking weird.
I mean, it's dual purpose. Let's just put it that way. It was. I was in Memphis. I went to Sun Records. I held Elvis's microphone. You know, I'm a huge Elvis fan. I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. That whole era of early rock and roll, I'm a big fan. And then there was a tattoo shop right around the corner. So I'm like, well, I got to get a tattoo and I got to get an Elvis tattoo. So I got a little TC. But nice. Hey, man, I'm more than happy. It also standing for Tom, Chris, and Brian. So I'm fine with that. That's what my TCB stands for.
The TCB. I'm taking care of business.
That's right. Taking care of business and Tom, Chris, and
Brian. There you go.
By the way, the fine gentleman that you're talking about is John Stubblefield.
The bass player of Lucero.
Yes.
And
it's
so
one of my favorite bands.
I go to the tattoo place, and there's this very heavily tattooed, kind of bald older guy, kind of around my age, maybe a little bit younger than me, but you know, in the same era. And he's sort of just like in the shop. He's not a tattoo artist. He's just like hanging out. Super nice guy. And as I'm waiting and I'm getting my tattoo, we're just talking the whole time. And come to find out, he is a part owner of the tattoo shop. And then come to find out, he is the bass player from Lucero. And I'm like, well, I don't know your band, but I know someone I guarantee who knows your band, and I can't wait to tell him that I met you. And and I did not know that you actually knew them, but as soon as after I got the tattoo, I went back to my hotel and I'm like, well, I got to find out who this band was, So I looked it up and I listened to some of their songs. I'm like, oh, this has got to be a Chris band. I know for a fact this is a band Chris likes. So,
Yep.
That was a neat experience.
Yeah, and a couple comic or connections there. They did a song all about Love and Rockets. It's
we talked about that actually.
Yeah, Maggie the Mechanic.
Because I told him I did a comic book podcast, and he had some comic book tattoos, if I remember. He had a lot of tattoos.
That entire band is really, really well tattooed. It's the culture. And whenever you go to a show, I mean, everyone in the audience is tatted up, and like really, really attractive tattooed women kind of flock to that band. It's a sight to see. But Ben Nichols, who is the lead singer, did a great solo record that was based on Blood Meridian.
Really?
Yeah, it's
interesting.
It's really good stuff. Crucy is a big fan of Ben Nichols and Lucero.
Well, it was funny, talking to him, because at first he was just a guy in a tattoo shop, and we were just kind of bullshitting. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in a band." I'm like, "Oh, is it? Would I have heard of you?" He told me the name of the band. I'm like,
how cute.
yeah. I mean, I had no idea. I'm like, sorry, I just don't know the band, but it sounds cool. And I'm like, but me, I'm like, well, where have you guys played? Are you? Oh, he's like, oh, we played all over. I'm like, have you played in Chicago? Oh yeah, we played. And then he starts naming all the venues, and I'm like, oh, you're a real band. Like you're a band.
Yeah. It's the tattoo shop is not your primary job.
Yes, that's when it finally occurred to me. Like, oh, this is just. Yeah. You're just hanging out because you don't have anything else to do because you're not on tour right now. So
yeah, he's fun to see. He's a guy I would describe as he plays angry.
I could see that. But he was the nicest fellow.
Oh yeah. And he's got the Elvis snarl thing on stage going big time. Yeah, he was a big guy too.
He's a big burly dude and super nice and talked. I mean, the entire time we just kind of shot the shit and it was cool.
Yeah, they're a great band. You would like them. So welcome to Around Lucero
Talk.
Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hi.
You're early. We figured we'd just jump in and
my kids fell asleep easily.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah. Rarely happens, but when it does, oh, it's sweet.
Man, that was like we would put our kids to bed we'd start to put them to bed around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And that was always like, okay, now it's mommy and daddy time. We finally have a little bit of peace, a little bit of quiet. But it was a regimented thing. It's like, nope, you're going to bed early.
It's bedtime.
It's bedtime. I need
bedtime. Yeah. Go to bed.
I can't get my son out of bed. He lives in his bed. I mean, he does basically school from his bed now.
Eventually, there'll be the transition with my son to the same.
Yeah.
He's still like, he gets up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I want to watch cartoon. Like he's early rising.
Things to do, man. Things to do.
It was awesome when our kids started sleeping in. Like I remember that, like going, oh man, it's a Saturday and my kid's not waking me up at 7:30.
Feed me.
Yeah. And then once they started sleeping, I remember one year my daughter, she's the older one, so she was always the instigator. So like Christmas mornings, it would be her, she would sort of get up really early and then she'd get her brother and then they'd come wake us up so they could go open presents. And I remember one Christmas, she comes into our room at 4:30 in the morning and we're like, no, go to bed, back to bed. Do not get out of your bed for at least 3 more hours. We're not getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
She was excited.
Yeah. Now it's okay. You guys gonna get up at some point today, or it's noon and we still haven't had Christmas. So you guys, yeah. But yeah. So Tom, Mike Deodato, the artist, the comic book artist, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know his name is not Mike Deodato?
No, I mean
he is Brazilian, and his actual name is Deodato Tumaturgo Borges Filho.
Okay, I see why he might have.
He changed it to Mike.
Yeah, just call me Mike.
Just call me Mike Deodato.
That blew me away this week when I learned that. I'm like, what?
Hey, I'm Mike Deodato.
Yeah, I thought he was some dude from Long Island.
I've never seen him before, and I mean this kind of as a compliment. He absolutely looks like a Bond villain.
He does kind of look like, he's bald.
Yeah, he has a plan to rule the world or kill
Mike
a lot
Deodato.
I don't understand why he goes.
But
he goes by Mike Deodato Jr. Like what? Why are you Mike? Who's Mike Deodato
Senior? He's got creative.
There's a lot of mysteries here.
I know. I need to talk to Mike Deodato. But he probably speaks Portuguese because he's Brazilian.
Probably.
My Portuguese not good.
Short interview.
Yeah, it would be very short.
I like your work. See. That's all right.
All right. Thank you. Get back to work.
I should really work on Portuguese.
Kind of like my talk with Neil Adams. No.
Oh yeah, well, you didn't have enough cash.
No,
Yeah.
he was actually pretty gracious.
Yeah.
Whenever we talked, I don't know if he knew what a podcast was at the time, but I think he was happy. He likes to hold court. So
yes,
yeah.
Gregarious.
I enjoyed talking to him.
That was my dinner with Wagner, Matt Wagner.
Yeah, like to hold court.
Very much, likes to be the guy talking. Mostly, and that didn't really work well with me because I'm.
You also like to talk,
Yeah.
so
I don't think I really enamored.
Just a whole meal where you're like interjecting.
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was just me.
Let me. It's like, you don't understand how this works.
Yeah. He's not getting it.
So you don't understand how dinner with me works.
No. And that was the Andy Parks was nice enough to invite me to dinner because he knew I was a big Matt Wagner fan, and he invited me to dinner. And I hope I apologized to him afterwards. I'm like,
Andy and Matt don't talk anymore.
Yeah, probably not. Probably
after that asshole at dinner.
Just kept
talking.
talking.
Brought this guy.
Well, actually, I have something to say about that. Matt Wagner.
I think at one point I was explaining to him.
Oh no!
Mage. I'm going to explain Mage to you.
Yeah, it was
really about.
I don't think you get it.
Yeah. Let me give you my take. Would you mind?
Let me tell you.
While you're enjoying that $70 steak, could you mind if I
Here's my problem with Grundle.
You eat and I'll tell you about your work.
Oh God, I'm an idiot.
Who was it that you were mad at for years because you had a dream that they stole your bike?
No, that is not actually what happened.
I know, and I keep bringing it up that way because I love hearing the story.
No, Tim Seeley had a dream that he stole his bike, but Tim is never mad at any. I can't think of his name now.
Isn't it John Cassidy?
Yes, John Cassidy. John Cassidy. So no, I was really drunk at a convention, and I was in a conversation, a three-way conversation with John Cassidy and someone else. I think it may have been Joe Quesada. And for some reason, the entire time, because I was drunk, I kept going, John Cassidy is an asshole. And I went to bed thinking, John Cassidy is an asshole. And then I woke up going, I was not invited into that conversation. And I was the asshole. John Cassidy was fine. He was very pleasant and gracious, considering I drunkenly butted my way into a conversation with him and Joe Quesada, and neither one of them
and his boss, basically.
Yeah.
His boss. The lifeline of his livelihood.
Yeah, Joe was. It was. Although I will say, at one point, I think there was a weird moment where Cassidy was sort of. He was basically doing what I was doing to Joe Quesada. He was like telling him how comics should work. So I wasn't the only asshole, but he wasn't an asshole to me at all. He was, like I said, he was actually very gracious and putting up with a drunken idiot.
Who just like inserted his way into a conversation.
Well, his dream self did steal Seeley's bicycle.
I didn't know that till after, though. I found out after the fact. That was nothing to do with it at all.
Classic astral projection, John Cassidy.
I have no idea. I think it was just because Cassidy was a very, popular, good-looking, comic book artist, and I was probably just mad that he was that, and I wasn't. And
this guy's such a dick.
I'm still mad at him.
So good-looking and talented.
Yeah, Pope, Sean. What's his name?
McKeever, absolutely.
Yeah, Sean McKeever, gorgeous.
Mike
Norton's gorgeous. Yeah. They're all
another beautiful man.
It's not fair to be that good looking and that freaking talented. It's
Sean McKeever.
as Sean McKeever. That's
Yeah.
too much. That's too much animal magnetism and talent wrapped up into
It really is.
one human being. And I love Sean. What's your favorite Cassidy work? We're talking about Cassidy for a second.
It has to be
Planetary, the easy answer.
Planetary would
Yeah.
probably be my favorite. I mean, he did a lot of great covers, but I'm trying to think of like
The Joss Whedon run on Uncanny X-Men was really good.
I refuse to answer. I won't be put on the spot
because he's an asshole. Or
No, I won't be put on the spot like this. I'll give you an answer next week.
I need to research.
Yeah,
You mentioned Andy Parks. Cassidy, I think, did all of the Lone Ranger covers on Andy's
He did
Lone Ranger run. So
it
all comes back around.
He did the Ultimates. Did he do the Ultimates covers?
No, you're thinking of Astonishing X-Men, I think, probably.
Okay, probably. I liked Astonishing X-Men a lot. Planetary, though, I mean, that's got a soft. I mean, there's a soft space in my heart for that, for sure. That didn't make any sense.
There's a
soft space in your heart.
There's a soft spot in my head.
That did come out as an abs. Oh yeah, it did. Yeah, it's shit. Yep. It's two absolutes.
Yes, it is.
Things you find laying around. Yeah, I remember one of them was kind of hard to find for a while. They put it back in print. So pretty stuff.
They're pretty expensive, I think.
Are they? Ooh, good.
Yeah, I think they're. Funny enough, I just had that conversation with my wife. We're getting a lot of
about what your favorite John Cassidy work was.
Yes,
I'm very interested in what she had to say.
What's your favorite? Who?
Yeah, she didn't have an answer. She was much like Tom. She refused to answer.
I refuse to be put on the spot like that.
We're getting we're getting our kitchen redone, and so we're like living out of our bedrooms and in our basement, and we were talking about the basement, and she was like, well, I mean, you have the entire basement, because the basement is basically a library of hardcovers and comic book art. And she's like, well, look at all this junk. I'm like, hey, this stuff's valuable. This stuff is all worth more money than what I paid for it. When I die, you're going to be able to sell this for lots of money. Probably not. Yeah. But
there's got to be a bag Death of Superman in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, is that worth a lot now? Is that
an X-Force #1?
Okay, so here's a weird thing. I saw that X-Force #1 bagged, the bagged ones with it was a Deadpool card, I think, was actually going for big money on eBay. It was
collectibles are insane right now. Anything comic book related, any kind of baseball card, any kind of collectible cards are big money now. The Marvel cards, remember the Marvel cards? Those are starting to pop. Yeah, collectibles are huge right now. Everything. I mean, comic book art, comic books, everything from when we were in our 20s now. That's how, because we're old, well, except for Tom. But me and you, when we were in our 20s, everything is collectible now.
So, like all the CDs in the basement, I sold onto them.
I don't know if CDs are back yet.
They'll come around, though. You got to give it 20 more years. CDs.
Here's the funny thing. I went into the local record store today and had a box of CDs. We're trying to get rid of them. We probably have 6,000 or 7,000 CDs.
Take that immediately to the dumpster.
Well, no, they actually. This was at work in Janesville, Wisconsin, where apparently there's still a lot of people that listen to CDs. And so I was able to turn in that box of CDs for a couple vinyl records. And I'm just like, that's weird. It's the whole idea.
Like a resale shop where it's like CDs and VHS tapes and
yeah, I could call it Disco Round.
Disco Round. Yeah, it's coming back.
It's all coming around. VHS will be back. There'll be like a VHS.
I think VHS, there are some collectible VHS already. And I have one that I think one day will be collectible, but I cannot say what it is. I will not. I can't. Yeah, I can't.
Disney? Is it a Disney?
No, it's not Disney. It's not.
Is it something in the? Is it in the Disney Vault?
You can guess all you want. I will not.
Never.
Do they still have the Disney Vault? Do they still say that it's
Ernie,
available for a limited time before it goes back into the Disney Vault?
Sal's got an Ernest Goes to Camp VHS with like a misprint on the cover.
No, because he would be proud of that. This is something that obviously is either a little too risque.
I'm not saying anything.
Or it's something that he's truly, truly embarrassed about.
Both. It's both of those things. Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's not like the original VHS of the Super Bowl Shuffle or anything like that.
Nope.
No.
Not saying. I'm not confirming or denying anything.
Expensive erotic thriller VHSs. Let me Google that.
So for the listeners out there or viewers, why don't you chime in on what you think is in Sal's VHS collection?
It's in my vault.
It's in Sal's available for a limited time before it goes back into Sal's vault.
Back in the vault. Yep. Yeah, that's right. I got a few things in there. A couple of things. There's
You won't even tell us off camera, will you?
I don't want to know.
Tom doesn't want to be implicated.
I refuse to be put on the spot about what work I enjoy, and I do not want to know what is in Sal's video collection.
The mystery, that's where the magic is.
Yeah, it's enticing, yes. Titillating.
Yeah.
What could it be? What could it be? What are you drinking?
What's in the box?
What's in the vault?
I'm drinking a hard seltzer.
Oh.
Of a brand that I work on.
Oh, you got a few
thrown
your way? Got a few tossed comps?
I got a few hard seltzers in the refrigerator.
Nice.
Yeah. If you come over here, don't worry. There'll be some hard seltzer. Don't bring any.
Don't bring any hard seltzer.
Don't bring any. I got
keep your White Claw at home.
Yeah, don't bring that. Yeah, don't bring the White Claw. No.
That trash.
Garbage.
It's great. I went to the grocery store the other day, and everything is a hard seltzer. Everything.
Oh yeah. Oh,
it's Bud Light.
Yeah.
Bud Light seltzer.
Yeah.
I guess the new one that all the kids are drinking is Truly.
Wayne Masso says his guess. He's guessing. We got guesses. We have the Seika collection. Is Wayne Masso's guess? I will not.
They have a hard seltzer too.
I don't know what Seika was a porn star, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's one of those Ewok movies that just came out on Disney Plus.
Damn it,
Caravan.
Tom, you got it.
Well, yeah, I have yet to watch it. What is it? Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure.
Yes. Monica M says Back to the Future. Well, that's
back
not.
she's Back from the Future.
Oh, that
was the Chinese knockoff version of Back to the Future.
Back from the Future.
Yeah, Michael J. Fax was in that one.
Back to the Future doesn't really make any sense. Back from the Future.
I have to get Back to the Future. Marty, I've got to go back.
But they didn't actually do that until the second one, right?
No, that was the
Oh yeah, you're right.
It was the end line in the
got
first
back
movie.
To the present.
Doc had to take him back to the future.
To the present.
Listen.
The end of the first movie. The end of the first
worked. People saw the movie.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm trying to make sense of it.
No, it's not Back from the Future. But good guess. Good guess, Monica M. Keep trying. If somebody
is it Back to the Future?
It's a bootleg copy. It is a copy. It is a bootleg copy of a movie on a Polaroid VHS tape. But that's as far as I'm going. It's really, that hint doesn't really give you much.
Yeah.
Polaroid.
Is this like a Wu-Tang thing? It's the movie that was never released. You are Martin Shkreli.
I can't say. I can't give any more details. It's
okay.
I don't know if the statute of limitations is up at this point.
Is it like the Kennedy assassination? I mean,
rare VHS.
Is it the off speculated but never confirmed second camera?
I cannot confirm or deny, sir. I will not. I will not.
Pointed back at the depository.
So
I'm looking at the 50 most valuable VHS tapes, guys.
Wow. Wait a minute. That actually exists, huh?
Yeah.
What's number?
Oh wait, it's Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
My God, what is that worth?
$900.
$900.
The Fox and the Hound Black Diamond edition from Disney is worth $1,495.
Who was buying that?
What?
I don't think
at least you get a movie. It could be one of those non-fungible tokens, which
hey man, it's a way for digital artists to make money. I don't know. I
get that. I can understand the digital. I can understand like the digital art ones. I get. I can like wrap my head. I can also sort of wrap my head around like the NBA one.
I don't even know what that is. I don't understand.
Oh, it's like, you know, like you can own a non-fungible token that's linked to like a highlight. So you can own like Michael Jordan beating the Cavaliers at the last second. You know, like you can buy a token that represents that. Like, and I can kind of wrap my head around that, right? Like,
you see that on YouTube?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. It's like it's, you know, it's not actually anything other than like you have a bunch of like code that tells you that you own it. That's probably burned up a forest to generate it. So.
It's Sal, this entire conversation is going to anger you if we continue, because
it's like
ridiculous.
Bitcoin, but instead of imagining you have a coin, you imagine you have a
Bitcoin
basketball highlight.
Yeah, it's like, well, money is dumb if you think about it. I mean,
hey, my Dogecoin is up over 6 cents today.
Hey, man, are you rich yet?
No. I officially own about
if I was rich, I wouldn't be
$70 in Dogecoin.
If I was rich, I wouldn't be doing this.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, I'd have something else to do.
I did have someone legitimately tell me years ago when Bitcoin was like it was about $9 a coin. He's like, dude, you should really buy some of this. And I'm like, what? I didn't understand it then. I'm like, what is it?
What is it?
And
what is it?
Like, seriously, it's going to be worth a lot of money. And he had invested a pretty good chunk of money in it. And I'm like, that's
he was
stupid.
right.
You turn around.
Do I know this person?
No.
Okay.
No.
You turn around and you looked at a bunch of X-Force number ones sitting on your desk. And you're like, this is stupid.
Yeah. I don't quite get. I used to yell at my kids, or I still do, whenever they would buy stuff in video games, because I'm like, you're spending money on clothes for a character in a video game. Like, what the fuck are you doing? But that's 10 times better. At least you can get some sort of joy out of that, I guess. I literally thought that NFTs were, you get access to like something that no one else can see. Like you can only see like a piece of art.
Yeah.
You have access to view it.
You get to imagine that you have an emotional attachment.
Yeah.
To a thing.
You just got a digital certificate of authenticity.
That is so much dumber than I thought it was. Oh my God. What is wrong with people? Have too much money and just free time or something.
I think
that's why we're gonna sell
pandemic kind of
NFT of every single one of our episodes.
We absolutely should.
We should. Non-fungible token.
Mm-hmm.
So what would that? I don't even get it. Why would anyone want something? Is it? It's
because you can flip it. That's the only reason.
So it's just a stock. It's just
it's like Bitcoin in the sense that
so
the only thing it's worth is that you can sell it to somebody else for more.
So
you can buy stuff.
Think about this. So say there is a famous painting in a museum.
Yeah.
And the museum, which they're doing this, will sell an NFT of the image of that
Mona Lisa.
We'll say Mona Lisa. So someone buys the NFT of the Mona Lisa. Well, they own that like digital NFT. And Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're way hipper on this than and a lot of other things as well. But so then say there's a multi-billionaire, Bezos buys the Mona Lisa, and he has the actual Mona Lisa,
burns it
because he has so much money. He would probably want to own the NFT on that as well, right? So he would go and try and wrestle it back and pay someone tons of money just because it's an ownership thing. It's people attach value to ownership, therefore it makes people want to own it, right?
So much. I hate people. Why? I mean,
they only exist to be flipped or to launder money, as Wayne.
Or is it just to like
sure.
like a pride thing?
Yeah, I'm sure there's some of that.
Oh, it's bragging rights. Yeah. It's I listened to it is on if you want to learn more about NFTs, and I need to go back and listen to it.
NPR?
Is it on NPR? It's been a minute. Is a pretty good show on there. And this last episode,
that sounds like all the show. It's been they're all named like it's been a minute or coffee break or
coffee break.
All right, your morning show.
Yeah, they spent about 15 minutes on NFTs. Actually, another good one is called Reveal, and they had Chuck Dixon on during the Comicsgate stuff, and that was an interesting listen.
Maybe instead of learning with your ears, you should read a book.
I would
without pictures in.
Wayne Massot,
yeah.
Says NFTs are a way to launder money. That's
a good way to launder money.
Seems legitimate. That seems. I don't know if
sell it for a large amount of cash quickly,
right?
And then flip it.
Well, I know, like most cryptocurrency started out as just a way to buy drugs on the internet.
Yeah, like wasn't that like Bitcoin was tied in with like the Silk Road? Is that what it was? The digital Silk Road or whatever it was.
A friend of mine just told me a story about how when he was in college, he would go to a bank and deposit cash in a anonymous account, and then they would give him a Bitcoin, and then he would send that to another anonymous account, and then they would send him drugs. He's like, it was super sketchy, but it worked.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, that seems really like a lot of work. I don't know what he was buying, but yeah. And when
are Marvel and DC going to start selling NFTs of like Amazing Fantasy number 15?
I would be shocked if they weren't already doing it. And if they're not doing it, they should be doing it.
So you could make an NFT of anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially barely attached.
Like we're going to see NFTs of like Cardi B's ass, or like you're gonna have like NFTs.
Pizza Hut sold one of a pixelated pepperoni.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean it's barely attached to reality.
All right,
like I said, I can wrap my head around like a digital artist making something and selling an NFT to it. Like essentially, like if you're creating like this artist that create totally digital like Photoshop experiences, like how do you actually own that? I mean, I don't know. You can own an NFT, and I can kind of wrap my head around like
there's actually
sort of like owning it, or even like the highlights. I can kind of see the emotional attachment of like, I own this highlight. But then you get into like pixelated pepperonis, and then I'm starting to be like, I'm having a hard time wrapping it.
You're out at pixelated pepperoni.
Well, the other ones I can kind of wrap my head around, like why you would want it, maybe, like
I need to start a new business. I need a coder because I thought what an NFT was like an artist would create something digitally and then it would be encrypted and you would buy the token so that you could open it and view it. That's what I thought like a digital art NFT was like, okay, I could kind of get that. Like you're the only one who owns that. And then you're the only one that can actually open it and view it, or maybe you put it on an iPad and hang it on a wall, or something, or you know what I mean? Like that, to me, that makes sense. Like, let's do that. How do I do that? I need to start a business here. I need a coder. Who can code? Who's out there? Wayne Masso or Monica M. Can you either of you code?
Welcome to three old men talk. What is this computer? It's a computer coin.
But it's not real. I don't understand.
What do you mean I can own a Michael Jordan highlight? I'm the only one that can see it.
What's a Dogecoin?
Anyone can see it.
I had an old man moment on Twitter today where I was complaining, and not complaining, but more stuff came out about Ray Fisher and Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns and the whole Justice League movie and stuff. And I was like, and I read the article about it, and Ray Fisher was saying, like, he, basically what it seems to me like his complaints boil down to, initially he had a bigger role and he had a big part of sort of this backstory of Cyborg. And then when Joss Whedon came in, he kind of did away with all that and was like, no, we're gonna make it more friendly and we're gonna lighten things up. We don't want dark tone. And so a lot of it got cut, and he didn't like the way it was handled, blah blah blah. And I was just like, well, yeah, that's not that uncommon. It's a director. But I'm like, man, I know this is an old man thing to say, but it's like, could you imagine Ray Fisher working with like Hitchcock or not Scorsese, what's his name, Stanley Kubrick, or like these notoriously hard ass directors? It's like,
I don't agree with Stanley's vision of the movie. It's like, oh well, that's cute.
But I knew it was an old thing to say. I am an old man. It's okay now. I can be an old man. I am.
Old man yells at cloud.
Silly kids in your
back in the silent movies, you would have had to really act.
Right.
You couldn't use your voice. It had to be your face.
Mm-hmm. The talkies ruined everything.
Oh, what? Oh my God, we got a long comment here. I'm not sure I want to read this. Do we want to
read this
go
later?
with NFTs?
No,
all right, let's move on. Sorry, Wayne, we can't.
Yeah, this will be for our own reading. I feel like we're gonna fall into.
Just listen to.
It basically says DC Comics is getting into the NFT space. And
okay. Of course they are.
Yeah. So
there's money to be made.
Yeah, there is.
It's comics, baby.
That's right. Let's make some money. Speaking of comics,
yes.
I know you had some stuff you wanted to talk about. Comic related stuff.
Oh, a lot of Teen Titans. So I was watching. I feel like we don't talk enough about Teen Titans Go, which might actually be the best comic book adaptation going as far as like.
It is awesome.
It's awesome. It's great. It's also the Teen Titans Go to the movies is one of my favorite comic book. It's legit. Teen Titans Go makes me laugh out loud when I watch it, which is really hard to do. And it's gotten to the point now when I read other things with the Teen Titans, I have a hard time not imagining, like, I'm like, it's not the Teen Titans Go character. Yeah, like Beast Boy. I just think of the Teen Titans Go Beast Boy whenever I see Beast Boy. And there's a little part of me that's a little disappointed that it's not the Teen Titans Go Beast Boy. Like it's just like something about that show is just very like
it's fun.
It's fun and it's very clever, and like they do lots of very clever things. And they had an episode with De La Soul, the pop group, was in it. And I was like, I was watching it with my son, and I was like, oh, De La Soul's in this? I was like, oh, they're really in this. Like they're in the whole story for like the whole 11-minute story. And it's all about it's a very meta episode, right? Because first of all, the Teen Titans are trying to help De La Soul get their music back, which if you know anything about De La Soul's current status is like many of their most famous and critically acclaimed albums are not available on streaming because their record company and them have never been able to agree on how to split the royalties, and it's always been like a very contentious thing. It gives me a chance to plug one of my favorite podcasts from this last year. There's a let me look up the exact name of it. It was a podcast all about Prince Paul, the producer who worked on the first 3 De La Soul albums with De La Soul. And, when they first started, they were careless about what samples they used with stuff because they didn't think that they were going to be popular. And that
was also a time that there was a lot of like legal gray area on sampling until like Paul's Boutique could never be made today.
Well, so what ended up happening was they listed everything that they made, right? They're like, here's all the songs we did. They gave it to the record company, and essentially their version of the story, at least Prince Paul's version of the story, is that the record company said they got it all cleared, but really all the record company did was go clear the ones that were the most obvious because they didn't think this was going to be anything big. Yeah. And then, me, myself, and I became like a legitimate like top 40 hit. And then everyone came after them because now everyone was paying attention to it. And all of a sudden they realized that all the stuff they thought they had permission for, they didn't have permission for. Like they didn't really pay for any or get it cleared. And so ever since then, like their music in the digital age has always been sort of like wrapped up in all kinds of different legal issues, like to put it on Spotify or something, Tommy Boy, their former label, would put it up there, but De La Soul would only get 10% of like the royalties. So De La Soul said, no, we're not going to put it up if we're only going to get that much. It's been like this contentious thing for a long time. And that's kind of in a backwards way what the show has been was an alien comes down and digitally sucks up all of De La Soul's music. And the Teen Titans are trying to impress De La Soul with like, hey, yeah, we're super cool. We can get you to Mars to go find the alien that ate all your music. So they take the Titans Tower to Mars to fight this alien, and finally they defeat him and get their music back. But there's tons of like De La Soul references within it. The podcast is called What Had Happened Was, and it's hosted by Open Mike Eagle, who's a hip hop artist. And the first series is all with Prince Paul, which was my favorite podcast this past year. There's like 10 episodes. It was awesome. Lots of cool stories in it. But it was really funny and really well done. And I was like, man, they actually got De La Soul to be on this, the real actual De La Soul to voice their characters who had like superpowers based around their songs. And like it was just really cool. And it was really
deep episode of Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, and it was very meta, but it was really clever and really funny. And my son really enjoyed it and asked me who De La Soul was afterwards. But it made me think a lot about Teen Titans, because I was like, oh, that's crazy. I'm sort of thinking about, how Teen Titans has sort of become mainly Teen Titans Go, but also the Titans series on WB. To me, it feels like, I don't know, the Teen Titans are kind of having like a cultural renaissance in that they seem to have grown into something that kind of extends outside of the comics in a way that I wouldn't have imagined kind of when I was a kid, in the same sense of like, there's been so many Titans cartoons of all various degrees of like tone, from your very silly Teen Titans Go to, your Young Justice, which is more of like your serialized story style, to other Teen Titans have been done a bunch of different ways. And it really got me thinking about like, oh man, there's really been so many adaptations of the Teen Titans just in the last like, I don't know, 20 years, which I guess when I was a kid, I would never have thought the Teen Titans, while they were like a really popular comic book, I don't know if I've ever would have thought like, there'll be like cartoons of them. But I guess that's true for everything in comics. Now there's one of everything. But it also
they were the sidekicks. They were the But if you think about it, like, I mean, my kid loves Teen Titans Go, but he loves Robin. Like he likes Damien.
Is it Damien? Yeah.
But he likes all Robins, like in anything, Robin's the coolest. And it's like, it's so funny that kids, Robin was created for kids to get kids to like Batman, and it worked, and
It
still
works.
Yeah, it still works. They love Robin, like they still love Nightwing and all the Robins, and it's like, it's funny that all those characters were created for that same reason,
and they've survived and sort of
survived. Yeah,
and it's sort of interesting
multiplied.
to think about certain things in comics as being sort of like indelible in a sense, you know, like the Teen Titans have sort of become like, when you think of the Teen Titans, they're sort of an indelible definition of like, oh, that's Robin and Starfire and Beast Boy and Cyborg and
like the Avengers, or
like, and it's weird because it's like, it didn't always used to be that. I mean, it was that for a long time, but there was in lots of iterations, but now suddenly it's like they do have like this very defined sort of existence, which I think is like a strange transition that comics go through sometimes, where even like I think the X-Men used to have that, but now I don't think they do, where like there's a defined like, oh, if you're gonna name the X-Men, here's who's in the X-Men, right? Like
Cyclops and
I think it used to have that when the cartoon was around, but then over the years, I think between all the movies and everything, that's sort of been not in a bad way, diluted in a strange way, where
I think different eras have different, like if you ask my niece, who is not a comic book fan, but she grew up on the 90s X-Men cartoon, it's like Rogue and Gambit are her favorite X-Men, you know what I mean? And so I think that's part of it too. It's just like it keeps changing with eras, but the Teen Titans has kind of stayed.
It always comes back to that. It always comes back to like that version of it.
And Robin, and now, you know, and Cyborg, and it's interesting.
It's like, that's Teen Titans. Like when you see the Teen Titans are back, that's the group that you are like.
Yeah. Do you think everyone's like that? I'll never forget the first time that I talked to someone and Kyle Rayner was their Green Lantern. And I'm just like, what? Really? But I mean, so like, for us, Teen Titans is that core group. For people that have been reading Teen Titans off and on, do you think are there a lot of different answers? Like I love the Arsenal version, or
I'd be surprised just because like
I don't think any of them worked other than this group that
they don't. Yeah, they always sort of not quite stick around or last very long. There's just something about, for whatever reason, you know, like people. I love Wolfman Teen Titans, right? However they figured it out, they figured out something very unique with that book, where they created like something that has had an impact and people return to again and again, and they're always intrigued by that mix of characters. Like
I always am. I always want to see, and I don't necessarily always like it, but I'm always intrigued by it, and go, okay, I'm gonna, if they relaunch the Teen Titans and it's that group again, it's like, okay, I'm gonna give it a chance again. I want to see it again. And there's been multiple versions and multiple relaunches, but
there's been relaunches that I liked, and then eventually it comes back around.
I like the Cassie, Wonder Girl, and the Connor Kent Superman or Superboy. I like that era as well. But that's probably more because of Young Justice than it is about a lot of those Titan.
Well, it also sort of linked up with, I read Teen Titans Academy, which is like the new Teen Titans book that's sort of definitely Teen Titans meets the New Mutants, essentially, where the Titans are now, it's a school to teach kids how to, with superpowers, how to be heroes. And I'm just a sucker for that combination of characters, because I'm like, this issue has all kinds of problems with it. There's too many characters. I don't know who the hell. There's too many new characters. It does have a bonus of a gorilla character, right, which is always a good thing.
There you go.
But I'm a sucker for that combination of characters, because I'm like, I'll read this. And then at the end, even though I was sort of like, there's so many characters, I don't know what's kind of going on, I still liked it because I like those characters and I like seeing them together.
Cool. Well, that was the thing. I read that issue and it was like, like you said, there were problems with it, but it was like I liked seeing the teachers or the professors, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was that
It's Nightwing and Starfire. I like that, and Beast Boy and Cyborg. You know, like
I want to see them. I don't really care about the kids so much, but
Yeah.
that group I did like.
And also, what's interesting too is, you know, that Red X character. It got me really thinking about like what's interesting about like a lot of the Batman characters is how like the wall between the comics and animated has dissolved so much in the Batman universe, where things sort of interchangeably move between them, you know, where like Red X was an animated character, you know, like, but he's treated like it's just treated like it's part of the story, right?
We're kind of doing it with the Batman Catwoman series that Tom King's writing. That's what the Phantasm, right?
Ghostface or whatever.
Yeah, is that Phantasm from Mask of the Phantasm?
I'm not sure. I haven't been reading it, so
So I think that's I think I'm thinking of the right series, but
it's interesting.
Harley Quinn came out of the.
It's
animated.
So weird. Yeah, the division isn't there, you know, where it's sort of like they kind of just pluck things from wherever it works and like bring it in, and it works, and it's cool, and it's like, oh, I was like, huh, who is this character? And it's like, oh, I have not seen this. It's in an animated thing I haven't seen, but I thought that was cool actually, and I was like, oh, okay, like I can roll with that.
I speaking of the Harley Quinn, I read the latest issue of Batman. I don't know what issue number it is, whatever, and it was okay. It was fine, but Chris Wayne says yes, it is, Chris. So you are right. The Phantasm.
Okay.
So, but the Batman thing. There's this storyline going on in Batman where Harley Quinn is sort of, she thinks she's Batman's new sidekick. And it's kind of the best part of the new storyline.
I would read that book,
but I was so disappointed because I'm like reading it and I'm like, man, she really needs to show up in a Robin suit. Like that was the only thing it was missing. Is like she needs like some sort of like together homemade Robin costume to really finish this off. So someone needs to get a hold of. I think it's Tom Taylor. Or, one of them. Put because that's the best part of the whole rest of the storyline is like some scarecrow thing where the scarecrow is scaring people.
Let me guess. Was he gonna poison the city's water?
No.
Maybe.
But he's doing it without chemicals somehow. That's
what?
Yeah, that's the twist.
Everything's chemicals.
It's interesting. I wanted to go back though, what you were saying though, because it was interesting. I had, there's always been this connection. There's a pretty strong connection with comic books and hip hop, whether it's Clan or whoever. But I was listening to there's a radio program on Sirius XM that I listen to. These two comedians. It's called The Bonfire, and it's Dan Soder and Jay Okerson. They're both stand-up comedians, and they do every afternoon they have like a 2-hour show on Sirius XM, and they crack me up and I listen to them. But they were talking to today, they happen to be talking to Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC, and he was talking about how he was a kid and the only thing, and he was like a nerdy smart kid that didn't really like sort of the black music at the time. He was more into like rock and roll, and he's like, I just didn't fit in with a lot of what was going on at the time, and I didn't fit in with a lot of things in my sort of community, and just I was an awkward kid. He's like, except comic books, because it was the only place where like a nerdy smart kid had power, whether it was Reed Richards or Peter Parker was the first one he mentioned, or Tony Stark, and he talked a bit about comic books. So it was interesting of like, there's always been that classic hip hop, that comic book connection, and it's such a cool thing to keep kind of running into that, and I love the fact that they brought that into Teen Titans Go. You know, whoever the person that had that
Instigated it, yeah. Whoever the instigator was.
Yeah, right.
I have a feeling that they were probably paid well to do it, but I also have a feeling that they probably jumped at the opportunity because they're probably comic book fans.
They probably are. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they, and you know, and it's like I said, Wu-Tang. I mean, those guys all talk about, you know, well, shit. Redman's doing a Marvel podcast. He does. Yeah. He fucking not. No, he does Method Man, not Redman.
Method Man, yeah,
because he does the Marvel Method podcast for Marvel. I mean, he just talks to comic book creators.
Nice.
And because he grew up, he loves comics. You know, it's just
I think it goes both ways too. I mean, Pisker's Hip Hop Family Tree is one of my favorite comics out of the the last when did that come out? Probably 6-7 years ago.
Something. I feel like longer, but
yeah, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. It's always it always kind of surprises me a little bit when you find out, you know, like I said, like Method Man. You know, it's like, I just would not like that guy. Really, he was a comic book. It's like that's awesome. That's so, you know, to think that, you know, he was reading comics at the same time that I was as a kid.
I mean, we kind of look at it now, the actual, you know, comic book fans, as far as like reading, you know, comic books, not like the movie fans. It's really niche. It's a really niche.
Yeah, that's
group.
what I mean.
But like in the 70s and 80s, when, you know, like Barack Obama was growing up, I mean, millions of kids were reading comic books.
Back before Gorilla Grodd tried to assassinate him in Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes. And I know the episode that you're talking about, which is great. But yeah, I mean, you hear, you know, most of the people especially most of the boys who grew up in the 70s and 80s, I mean, comic books were a much bigger part of the culture. I think they're a little bit more widespread.
70s and 80s and well, they were there. They were in 7-Eleven, and they were in grocery stores. So they were around. So I think, it just, I don't know. It just is one of those things where, like you said, growing up thinking, almost being ostracized because I was a comic book fan in the 70s and 80s, and sort of like hiding the fact that I read comic books, certainly in the 80s and 90s, even, you know, like in my 20s, of like the idea that I still read comic books was kind of crazy, you know, and embarrassing to me. Yeah. And then to
those Image swimsuit specials.
Yes, I had many copies.
Like comically opening it. Like, yeah.
Well, you know, I think that was
where it's like, I mean,
it's celebrated, and I think that was kind of the secret sauce in why comic book podcast became so popular so quickly in like 2006 or whenever.
There's more of us.
It's more. Like, wait, I can type in to my podcast search engine comic books. Oh my God, there's 10 shows and all they do is talk about comic books. So I think it was, you know, something that was a very solitary, you know, existence for fandom. I think even into the early 2000s, all of a sudden became, oh my God, there's, you know, we're all over the place. I think that was
for Lonely Virgin.
Well, that was the stereotype, right? You know, the 40-year-old, you know, the 40-year-old virgin.
Lonely. It wasn't a stereotype. I mean, it was, you know, a reality. I was at plenty of comic book conventions.
Terminal virgin.
I was talking about yourself.
No.
Yeah. So it was a, you know, stereotype.
No.
A lot of stereotypes ring true. So.
Did you either of you guys read The Flash that came out last week?
I did.
I really liked it.
It was cool.
I thought it was a great it surprised me at first, and it really took me on a roller coaster ride, because coming off of Infinite Crisis, right? We read that Infinite Crisis, where it was like the teaser stories to what was going to happen next in all the books. And the one that was sort of interesting to me.
Infinite Frontier.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Infinite Frontier. Yeah. The one that was interesting was the Flash one, because it was like, okay, Wally's going to be the Flash, and Barry's going to go off and explore the frontier. And I'm like, okay, I'm sort of interested to read that. And then you pick up this issue, and it's like Wally is retiring. I was like, wait a second, what? And so I was almost like pissed off at first, but then I realized like, oh, this is a classic, like Silver Age sort of like we gotcha kind of story. You know what I mean? Like, and Wally, you know, he says he's going to retire, and then he gets thrown back in time because he's on him and Barry go on, you know, their last race together. Wally's going to basically the setup is Wally wants to retire. He's done. He doesn't want to do it anymore. Barry can be the Flash, and Wally wants to give up his Speed Force. So they're going to go on one last race together, Barry and Wally. And of course, things go crazy. Something weird happens with the Speed Force, and they're separated, and Wally's thrown back in time, and to like the prehistoric era. And there's like dinosaurs, and there's a Speed Force Velociraptor that chases him around, and it's so fun and awesome.
Like Caveman Flash.
Yeah, there's a caveman. He's Caveman Flash. And in the meantime, Barry is, you know, working with his friends using science to try and figure out what happened to Wally and how to get him back. And I'm like, this is fucking Flash. This is a Flash book. This is what I wanted. This is what I've been wanting out of a Flash book for so long. And but like I said, at first they really got me, because I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? They just told us that Wally was going to be the Flash, and now they've already changed their mind. And they're going back from that. But it was this, even like the image, the first page, you open it up and it's like, you know, Wally holding his head. He's like, I quit. And it took me a minute to realize it was this classic sort of comic book thing. And I'm like, that's so cool. Yeah, they absolutely got me. I loved it. And I hope that this book goes on. It's like, and I wrote a short review for Top of the Stack that you can read on Patreon about it. But one of the things that was like, what's the point of having infinite universes if you're not going to have infinite multiple Flashes running around, you know, in time and so yeah, it was so fun and such a classic sort of comic book, and it felt so much like an homage to the Silver Age Flash stuff, that I loved it. And I'm like, I don't care who's the Flash. I keep them both. You know, if it's this good, do whatever you want with them. I really enjoyed that issue. But I was interested to know what you felt, because I know, you know, obviously you're our Flash resident Flash.
Yeah, I liked it better than I didn't like the Future State Flash stories that much. It had like a cool hook to it, you know, of Barry using the Rogue's weapons to try and stop like a Wally who's out of control. Right. But it was sort of like, you know, in the end it was like the lack of hope was the enemy. And it was just like, oh, all right, whatever. But this was, you know, much more fun and very quick paced and jumping around very quickly. And it still had like nice character moments as well, of like, you know, Green Arrow not exactly being super understanding of what Wally's going through, and, you know, sort of being a dick in sort of classic Green Arrow fashion. But also just, you know, anytime you can have Barry Allen like casually mention that he contacted President Superman from to get help from one of the, you know, other Earths. That's always a good thing, you know, whenever you can just, it's not even a major part. It's just like, oh yeah, of course, President Superman, he'll ask him for advice on how to find Wally in time. So I dug it. I thought it was cool.
I don't know. Jeremy Adams is the writer who wrote this issue. I don't know anything really about him, but he must be a Flash fan. I mean, there's no way that you. He's a screenwriter, and he's written on Teen Titans Go and Teen Titans. He wrote Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans and Monkey Kid. So he's done a bunch of animated stuff for DC. That explains why it was fun. But okay, so that's who Jeremy Adams is. Well, I
all right, let's do it. And then in the end, you have a cool reference to an entirely different sort of Flash.
Right.
Like he's in the future. It's very like, yeah.
Cool. They threw in a lot for Flash fans, and I thought it was all pretty good, pretty well done. So that was my top of the stack.
And Wally is like, he's quantum leaping.
Yeah, right. Well, I just love
quantum leap. Yeah,
that he was just like, okay, let's get. I can't even remember now who all he got to help. It was
we'll get President Superman. We'll get Mr. Terrific. We'll get
Mr. Terrific, and it's just like and like using science to try and figure out what happened to Wally. They're triangulating through the Speed Force and all this sort of crazy Speed Force science talk, and it's just like, yes, that should be part of a Flash comic book almost every time. I think I don't know if you can possibly do that, but it should.
Live in the moment, live in the now, Sal. Just enjoy it now that you have it.
One more comment from Wayne. He said, I'm not going to pronounce Wayne's last name anymore because I don't think I know how. He should phonetically write it out. But he said, we now know that Sal recorded those Image swimsuit issues on his secret tape.
Just like slowly panning down like the
Sal didn't know it at the time, but he invented the Ken Burns effect.
I did. Yes, I did. I was doing cartoonist kayfabe podcast episodes long before they were.
Slowly.
When they
Image swimsuit. Yeah.
All right. Well, Sal, you mentioned Patreon.
What a weird fucking thing to explain to somebody.
The swimsuit issue of Image Comics.
So yeah, it's like these real sexy ladies, but they're not real, right? No, they're just drawn.
Yeah.
Hey man, did you see the
the original art went big? Do it
over. What was her name? The bunny rabbit from Space Jam. Look at the people that got upset. Sexy Lola bunny rabbit.
Oh God, it's creepy. It's disturbing.
Wait a minute, I can't masturbate to this slightly rabbit.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
What happened to that sexy rabbit? And then you find out it's Bugs Bunny dressed as a woman.
Hey, whoa!
It always happens.
It always happens, man. You think you found a sexy rabbit, sexy lady rabbit? It's just Bugs Bunny.
Oh, God, they should have done that. They should have done that in Space Jam too. Have Lola come out and then and she's just all
it's Bugs.
This really sexy scene and then it's Bugs Bunny.
I can't wait for the new Space Jam. My son's very excited for.
Have you guys been watching the original Space Jam?
Yes, to watch the original.
Get hyped up.
He enjoys it.
I can't. I don't like LeBron. I just I'm not a LeBron fan.
I've warmed to him over the years. Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, I have to give him credit for being like, he's never had any problems or issues or he's been
like super socially engaged and seems to be an actual decent person. Starts schools and stuff.
It's just the old man in me.
I know. It's also why you hate John Cassaday.
No, well, that's a whole different. He's a cocksucker. He No, I don't hate John Cassaday. He's a fine young man.
Oh, Wayne just brought up Omaha the Cat Dancer. Yes.
What?
We're talking about sexy, weird comic.
Do you guys remember Omaha the Cat Dancer? I do not remember.
No. You got to look it up.
I got to look. Yeah. What is Omaha the Cat Dancer? Is that from Image?
It's like...
I remember the stripper character. This is Reed Waller. Omaha the Cat. I don't remember that at all. I don't think I've ever seen this. Wayne, you're freaking me out here now. This is oh, I do kind of remember that. Yeah, super hypersexualized cat. All right.
It's weird. It's another weird thing to explain to somebody.
What's
What's this comic book about? It's like a sexy cat.
Wow,
Yes.
really? I'm gonna share the screen here.
Oh, you mean like Catwoman? No.
No, like,
No, I mean like a cat woman.
I mean, this is a very graphic representation here on the
Next week,
Oh, wow.
we're gonna talk about sexy comics.
oh wow, this one's
Only.
nudity. Is this who made this? Erotica. Reed Waller and Kate Worley with James Vance.
What is this?
My goodness. My goodness.
This will be the one time that my mother-in-law ever tunes into the live feed.
Hey,
what we do every week is we break down the sexiest comics. Three guys.
I have to admit,
I'm
a bit of a prude when it comes to erotic comics. I'm sort of prudish. I don't know why. It is. I don't want any type of sex in my comic books.
none of it.
I'm a
Oddly,
huge Jenkins fan, but like Black Kiss is. I don't need this. I don't need porn comics. What is this? I don't. I'm Alan Moore's.
Lost Girls. I was like, he probably has the hardcover of Lost Girls somewhere.
I do. Of course I do. I have it all, but I don't think I've actually read it all. I think I did. But,
yeah, I have it. I've read it. I don't enjoy it.
I did not like a moment of it.
Yeah, do you want to have every issue of Omaha the Cat Dancer? Yeah, I do. Of course,
I'm a collector, Tom.
It's art. Do I enjoy it? No, I don't.
I reluctantly have it all bagged and boarded.
I have one
reserved
issue bagged and boarded and one that's for reading.
Yes.
When I reread the entire series every year, I'm disgusted. Horrified by it.
Revolted. It's revolting, but it is my duty.
My duty. The connoisseur of comics. Someone must read these sexy comics.
Oh wow, Wayne says he's older than us. He says it helps being older than you guys. Oh wow, Wayne, you're old. You're really old.
Old timey sexy.
What are you still doing up, Wayne? You should go to bed.
Thank you, Wayne, Thank you for mentioning Omaha the Cat Dancer. I'm glad.
Yes, we appreciate all your comments. All right, Chris. Sorry, we derailed.
No. I know.
What's time for Chris's sexy comic of the week?
The hot comic.
It is
boner time.
Big girls.
Big girls. I'm going to talk about this next week because we're well over an hour.
We've set the atmosphere's all wrong.
And we'll keep the outro stuff kind of short. The big thing, if you enjoy this, if you would like more Around Comics content, go to patreon.com/aroundcomics and you'll get stuff like Tom's one-man show, Tom versus the Freedom Fighters. I've got some interviews coming up on 30 Minutes With. Sal does Future Stacks.
We got Red Light. We got Red Light Around Comics where we talk about erotic comics.
Red Light District.
The Red Light District where we talk strictly about it.
Wait, I'm sorry, Chris. I have to extend I had a trucker moment.
Oh God.
This is real. So yesterday I leave work and I'm sitting in the parking lot in my car waiting to turn the road in front of my office, 4 lanes, 2 going each way. And I'm sitting there waiting to turn left, and there's traffic, and I can't turn left. And then there's almost a moment where I can turn, but then there's a semi-truck coming, white semi-truck. And I'm like, okay, I'll just wait for it to pass. And I look down on my radio, and as it's passing, I hear boom! I hear this huge bang. And I look up, and 2 of its wheels come off of the truck, fly across, bounding across 3 lanes of traffic, up a hill, and through a fence of the business next door. And I'm like, what did I just see? And the trucker doesn't even slow down.
No, he's got a delivery to make. He's got
Fucking keeps going, never stops, just gone. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe luckily there was no traffic. There was nobody here, nobody standing.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have killed, if it came the other way, he could have killed me. I mean, it was it freaked me out, but I was like, oh my God,
who's like a rogue trucker. He's out there, he doesn't give a fuck, and he's just
and you immediately thought, oh man, I got to talk about this on the show.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Love this.
Cut to the cab of the truck. The truck driver distracted by an issue of Image swimsuit. He's just like, yeah. What was that?
Omaha the cat.
he's reading Omaha the cat dancer while driving.
The trucker. That was
one hand. He's got it open with one hand and he's steering with the other, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, that may have been the only place that you could buy that comic.
He's just sweating, dabbing this.
With a bandana.
Oh man,
with a red bandana.
This comic is too hot.
Spicy.
Ooh,
I like me some feline. I like me some. Yeah, the dude never even hit his brakes. Did not even slow down. Just kept going, and yeah, the tires are still across the road sitting.
Oh, they're still sitting there.
They're still sitting there today. They were still sitting there next to the broken fence that it took out. Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. It was insane. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Like,
and you've been driving Chicago highways your entire adult life.
I have. It was just, I mean, but like seriously, it was pure luck because it's a pretty busy. Well, Chris, you know that street's pretty busy usually at 5 o'clock.
Where was it?
It was right outside of Body Solid.
Oh, it was. Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah, our old office. So it's a pretty busy street usually, and it was just. I mean, we do have video cameras outside the building. So they actually were able to pull it up the next day because the people across the street came and asked.
Still McAdam, right? The nursery. Yeah.
And
inside Sal and Chris's private life, where we used to work. I'll send you the address.
Now everyone knows where I work. There's video. You see the truck, you see the tire go, and 2 seconds later, there's a pickup truck coming the other way. So I mean, 2 seconds difference, and he would have killed the guy in a pickup truck. Like it was crazy. So I just kept thinking, like, how many times a year does that happen? You know, like how many times does 2 giant tires come
flying off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I like, what the fuck?
It's concerning.
Why are we letting these things on the road? They're dangerous and psychotics drive them. What the hell?
Obviously, it's a safe place for serial killers and axe murderers. They're all truck drivers.
Sex-addled lunatics reading their cat names.
Now they all know where I work. So
they're gonna come for you, my friend.
It's like I know what you did last summer, Sal.
You wake up with a tire in your bed.
Yes. All right. So that was sorry. I had to
I understand. Patreon.com. Check that out.
Thank you.
The show. Go ahead.
Thank you, Michael Fedoris, for being a patron.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes. It helps us pay for this, and it's a lot of content for not a whole lot of cash. We know that there's a lot of different places out there for you to be a patron of, and we really appreciate you picking us.
Absolutely.
All right. That's what I got. I'm going to talk about big girls next week, and probably I got a bunch of trades here. So if you're playing at home, I've got big girls. I've got We Only Find Them When They're Dead. That's the Al Ewing, the Immortal Hulk writer. And I'm going to finish up Remender's Scumbag, which is out in trade now.
Scumbags.
Yeah.
That dude's a freaking scumbag. I don't know why that. Scumbag.
Mike Deodato.
Jr.
If you want to hear Sal do more voices and accents, you can check out ACD&D, which is not this Not this Thursday.
No,
Next
next
Thursday. Every other Thursday. Every other Thursday. So
I got to figure out how I'm going to do a show next week. I might have some issues, but we'll figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, ACD&D is a blast.
it is. It's fun. All right. So you got all that. Yeah. We'll be back next Tuesday, our regular time, 8:00 Central Standard Time for the live video feed. And if you're listening to this in the podcast, thank you very much. We'll be back then. In the meantime,
In between time,
thank you. We'll be everywhere in
and around
comics.
comics.
Everywhere